Hello, YouTube. Welcome back in. Welcome back in. We are here with the second part of this part 2, which would officially be, I think, like the 5th part I think we're on. Oh my god. There's so much information with the factions. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm not going to stall anymore. We are on the Agents of the Imperium. We got the Agents of the Imperium. We've got the Adeptus Sororitas, the Tau, the Tyranids, and then the Gene Stealer cults. So we're going to learn about all that today. We might have to cut it again. We'll see how long things take, but yeah, let's just get into it.
I carry with me an inquisitorial seal. It is a small, unassuming object contained in a neat box of Pluvian obsidian. It is a modest thing, relatively plain, adorned with a single motif and a simple motto. Yet with this little object, I can sign the death warrant of an entire world and consign 1 billion souls to oblivion. Where the Imperium may see—
Oh my god. So, wait, these guys are literally the judge, jury, and executioners of the Imperium? These guys make the rules?
its justice dealt out by the hands of its armies and the gauntlets of its Astartes. When one needs eyes, ears, or both cut out, it looks to the agents of the Imperium. In a meta sense, these agents are
gentrified Bricky. They gentrified the Pritchard.
a homogenized version of multiple factions from the original video 5 years ago. They comprise multiple aspects of the wide and all-encompassing armies of humanity and serve different roles. Whether it be the law enforcers of the Adeptus Arbites—
That's RoboCop. That is just RoboCop. What the hell? Why is that just straight up RoboCop?
the void-faring explorers of rogue traders, the invisible hand of the Assassinorum, or the hospitality of the Emperor's Inquisition. Each has a part to play in the God Emperor's domain. Rogue traders are a great example of a somewhat undiscussed part of the Imperium: its nobility. While you may see the General Imperium as a totalitarian hellscape, because it is, this is to those under the boot of the nobles that run it. Rogue traders are a special kind of explorer, and their existence is extremely important to the function of the Imperium. A rogue trader is often an extremely special individual and is given the monumentally sized warrant of trade, allowing them to be given almost complete and utter freedom. Their task is simple: to chart the uncharted, learn the unlearned, and do whatever they can as an explorer and conquistador for the—
Wait, it's all Spain? Always has been.
Those back on Terra. This information is, strictly speaking, invaluable. Whether a sector can be settled and colonies built, or precious rare resources exist on a floating asteroid can be mined, or a long-lost Imperial world from the Age of Strife is recovered, it's all absolutely imperative. These rogue traders are faster than any other kind of Imperial armada, and therefore chart the direction of—
Also, what is this game he's showing in the background? Because I want to play it. It's like a Torchlight, but grimdark. I want to play it. Tell me in the comments, what is this game?
The entire society. Because of this, rogue traders are given a substantial amount of freedom. They have a ship and a crew of specialists and can do things that would see any normal person shot. They can barter deals and even recruit Xenos races. They can explore areas strictly prohibited, and they can earn a vast amount of wealth and riches in doing so. This tends to make rogue traders a very long lineage, and their heirs take up the mantle of their house. By being explorers, they become fabulously wealthy, and some can become quite the assholes.
Is that a Dogecoin on your shirt? Is that an actual freaking Dogecoin?
While doing so. But truly, much like a night pilot, a rogue trader is an exceptionally rich individual who can back it up. They are master swordsmen, explorers, merchants, settlers, diplomats, and everything in between.
You're not. You can do that kind of, you're not. You can also do that sometimes, but you're not.
They chart a course and they set the grounds, which means they will need someone to defend them, and the prime choice for that can be the Adeptus Arbites. Now, the Arbites are cops, Judge Dredd style cops, as their inspiration clearly shows.
I knew it.
criminals. Each planet will have their own members of local law enforcement, and most of them will settle many of the issues there and then. But when something requires a far more in-depth peacekeeping force, the Adeptus Arbites are brought in.
Wait, what was that? Courtesy of Brennan Gudenschwager, storyful. Okay.
Think local police versus
Why does he have the McDonald's symbol on his shirt?
versus the FBI. Arbitrators in the Arbites tend to focus heavily on stopping crime before it can become too much of a threat. A criminal gang or heretical uprising can be subdued quickly and efficiently by utilizing them and dealing with soon-to-be criminals, as they put it. They will tap into communications, create spy networks, do interrogations and sabotage, anything that helps the good of the Imperium and the law they seek to preserve. The Code of the Arbites is laid out entirely via the
You're about to commit a crime. No, you have no proof of that. I don't need proof. What do you mean? I don't need proof. I know what you were about to do. What was I about to do? You were about to steal from that bank over there, shoot 3 people, and then proceed to commit a bunch of grand larceny as you're running around the city, putting hundreds of thousands of lives in danger. No, I was just going to go in there to make a withdrawal. Then why do you have a gun in your back pocket? Wait, what? Boom.
The Book of Judgment, a gigantic library of pages showing every single law from every single High Lord of Terra in the history of the Imperium. Because the Imperium is so vast, hundreds of laws
Say hello to the Catholic bookshelf. Okay.
Are added every single day, and the library continues to grow with more and more laws and judgments. While Arbites themselves carry a small version called the Book.
Copicus conspicuous Aguilar count. I smell Bible crime on your clothes. Fuck.
Of law on their person, this does end up creating a system where the unjustly prosecuted will never escape their prisons. If an innocent is wrongly convicted, any form of legal counsel will need to go through the Book of Judgment to help get you out. Often these prisoners require hundreds of years of litigation, in which they will eventually expire before they can be deemed wrongly convicted.
Oh, damn. Damn.
Innocence is irrelevant. You have been judged guilty of
innocence is irrelevant. That's okay.
Transgressing the Lex Imperialis. Do not compound your guilt by evading punishment, as there are greater crimes, so are there greater sentences.
This is literally how half the internet views the actual police forces these days. Oh my god.
Of course, should something go out of the hands of the Adeptus Arbites, there is always the silent hand of the Officio Assassinorum to take their place. Naturally, the Imperium has assassins, and these assassins are sent to dispatch important figures that would not normally be handled by simply sending waves and waves of guardsmen at it. The Assassinorum is headed by the
As fun as that is, sometimes we don't need to do that.
Grand Master of the Assassinorum, who is a High Lord of Terra and perhaps the shadiest individual in the entire galaxy.
Wait. I am above this silly name joke. I heard you were negotiating with terrorists again. If you keep biting my swag, there will be problems.
At his disposal are multiple types of assassins that all specialize in various things. Their training is extreme and absurd. Aspirant children are often subjected to Hunger Games style combat with each other on the ride over to the temple. Then you get low gravity, high pressure.
What the hell? Wait, oh, right, the Will of John Emperor Esquire. He just put down your IP address.
Traps, horrendous physical and mental strain, and everything in between. Then their minds are wiped completely, and the real fun begins. An Imperial assassin is nothing to mess around with. They are some of the fastest moving and hardest hitting things the Imperium has at hand, and can go toe to toe with Space Marines depending on which temple they are from.
Oh, Jesus.
Some, like the Vindicaires, are master snipers who lie in wait for weeks, days, or even months just to get the perfect headshot from 5 kilometers away and disappear. The Calidus Temple are masters of shape-shifting and take a drug that allows them to transmute their body into whatever they see fit. A confidant of a target may be killed and they will take their place before killing their target outright. Or they could shift into a member of a Chaos Warband with symbols and flesh and all that to earn the trust of a cult leader before slitting their throat.
Jesus!
The Caluxus Assassin is a psychic blank, a soulless mutation, making them appear as uneasy to normal humans and downright.
Wait, if they're soulless, like we learned that the Necrons, they are soulless beings, right? They're not able to actually like interact with the warp because they are soulless. So if these are soulless beings, is that like literal or figuratively? Because if it was literal, they should not be able to interact with the Chaos Marines unless they're outside of the warp, right? I guess that's when you would probably use them. Literal soulless. Oh, okay. So yeah, so they can't do anything with the warp, if that's the case, right?
Disgusting to psychers. When a powerful psyker is causing issues, this is who you send. Their specialized helmet enhances their already...
No psychers allowed. No. They all have Magneto helmets. Gotcha.
Latent powers and will allow them to all but drain the souls from those they touch and their very body. It is an extreme weapon used when a direct form of pressure must be applied to an otherwise untouchable psyker. Now, if you needed direct pressure in a more literal way, the Eversor is for you. A drugged up comatose psychopath that is directly dropped on enemy lines and allowed to wreak havoc, killing anything and everything it sees in a blaze of movement and blood before it inevitably dies and causes a plasma explosion on its demise. There are other temples as well. The
Violent
Temple, acting as sort of like a cyber hacker. The Venom Temple, specializing in poisons. But all in all, assassins move with their skin-tight body gloves with a speed unmatched and force unexpected. One of the best assassin novels puts a Vindicator Calidus and Vanus to infiltrate a night world, kill the High Monarch of the Night, who is permanently...
I think this is one of the books he originally recommended as like a good starting place for reading.
Stuck in his giant robot knight, install a new ruler in his stead, and make sure nobody knows the Imperium did it. Their missions are insanity, and their tasks impossible, and they do it anyway. Thus is the power the Assassinorum wields.
Let's be perfectly honest, right? The moment you start saying, we can't do that, it's impossible, then you failed already. These guys don't know the meaning of the word probably. They're of the word impossible. They're just like, you want us to do this? All right, but it's going to cost you. It's going to take a minute.
We do not determine the guilty. We do not decide the punishment. We are merely the cold instrument of the Emperor's vengeance. There is no form of death unknown to us. There is no form of terror beyond our means. There is no enemy outside our reach. We are the blade that hovers over the throat of the traitor. We are the bullet that awaits the heretic's skull. We are the poison in the throat of the alien. However, despite the prowess of the traitors, the police...
That was so edgy. Holy Christ. Just the skull mask, the half hidden spine under the big billowing red cloak, the black leathers and all that, like, that was hella edgy. This is like Spawn levels.
And the assassins, there is one that stands above all. As the Imperium settled into its post-Emperor world, they needed a force to root out corruption wherever it could be found. But they needed specialized individuals who could do so. Men and women who would serve as detective and executioner. This new secret police would have unlimited authority, and they would be known as the Inquisition. Inquisitors of the Inquisition are one of the most feared individuals in all of the galaxy for the common members of humanity. Trained in the most difficult of conditions and mental hardening, they have long closed their minds to the compassions of those they deem guilty. Inquisitors are, for the most part, detectives, but they are detectives whose authority is unmatched and actions justified by the state itself, similar to the KGB, the Gestapo, the Stasi, the OVRA, but unlike those organizations, the Inquisition has far more authority and is one of the only types of individuals who can commit exterminatus, the term used for the utter and total destruction of a planet that is no longer deemed usable.
Lord Frieza, the Saiyans are attacking. Commence with plan exterminatus. What is that, Lord Frieza? I'm going to blow it the fuck up.
By the Imperium. While it is a very exciting word and a commonly notable thing done in Warhammer, Exterminatus is not actually used particularly often. It's a last resort entirely meant to stop the enemy from gaining a major foothold or spread even more corruption. Even with 1 million worlds, the wholesale slaughter of an entire planet is still a massive blow to the Imperium. Inquisitors range quite a bit, not just
Hold on one second. Back to the video.
in how they operate, but also in their personalities. They are often main characters for a large amount of books, as detective noir is a great genre, and they can be the most stone-cold killer or a pragmatic and sympathetic individual depending on who they are. Radical Inquisitors may utilize methods unlike most of the Imperium, such as alien tech or even demon hosts, where Puritans stick closer to the methods of the religious state and shun any deviations. They also specialize in various aspects, as the Inquisition has orders or ordos, such as Xenos for aliens, Malleus for demons, and Hereticus for, you guessed it. Truly, if you are a normal citizen of the Imperium, a person flashing an inquisitorial rosette in front of you may be one of the most terrifying moments of your entire life.
Yeah.
It is the same as an FBI badge or a KGB member, except now you're in Warhammer. So, there are
Yeah! FBI, open up. Okay. Oh, by the way, Warhammer rules. Oh, we gotta go!
authority and tools are infinite. Agents of the Imperium are vast and offer a ton of different concepts to the world of Warhammer, and they continue to expand as the Emperor's descent into the Golden Throne has lasting effects on humanity. As time progressed, a few people seeing the Emperor as a deity made their voices louder, and over a few thousand years, worship of the Emperor was not only considered expected, but state mandated. This church will be known as the Ecclesiarchy.
Which is funny because, once again, the Emperor wanted to make it very clear, none of this religion bullshit. I am not a god. I am a man. I am the man of mans. I am the emperor of mankind. I am not the god of mankind. And then all these other people were like, but he might be a god. He is a god. There's no might. He is.
And there were many who would look to the cardinal position and make desperate grabs at their power, leaving horrid effects on the populace. The Age of Apostasy was a time of reformation in the Imperium that saw its eventual change into an overtly religious empire. During this time, an all-female warrior cult to the Emperor called the Daughters of the Emperor were a bit more isolated from the wider Imperium. However, as the Ecclesiarchy began to take root,
I'm also surprised that the Adeptus Custodes didn't just put an end to this, because they're the right hand to the Emperor. They know the Emperor's will inside and out. Would they not have just heard about this religious uprising and be like, oh no. While the Emperor's gone, we're not allowing this bullshit to happen? Or were they too busy just kind of, watching the throne? Which, right, that's kind of their whole shtick, right?
Goj Van Dyer became the High Lord of the Administratum and noticed these warriors and felt they could be useful to him. Goj himself told these warriors that he was the voice of the Emperor himself and demanded they fire upon him to prove it. Having a little hidden force field that this warrior cult had never seen before, the bullet bounced off of him and showing him to be unharmed, truly blessed by the Emperor. This cult became known as the Brides of the Emperor and acted as his personal bodyguards and aides. However, Goj Van Dyer was a tyrant, and his horrendous reign spelled ruination for the wider Imperium, which made the Adeptus Custodes take notice. Despite an outright coup and revolt against him, the deadlock was getting steep as the Brides of the Emperor's fierce combat skills kept him safe. One Custodian made contact with the leader of the Brides and brought her into the throne room of the Emperor himself. Nobody knows what transpired in that room, save for Alicia Dominica, the Custodian, and the Emperor himself. However, she left the room with her hair bleached pure white from the interaction, marched her battle brides directly to Van Dyer himself and said, "You have committed the ultimate heresy. Not only have you turned your back on the Emperor and stepped from his light, you have profaned his name and almost destroyed everything he has striven to build. You have perverted and twisted the path he has laid for mankind to tread. As your decrees have stated, there can be no mercy for such a crime, no pity for such a criminal. I renounce your lordship. You walk in the darkness and cannot be allowed to live.
Damn.
Your sentence has been long overdue, and it is now time for you to die. Despite not having any time to die, Doge Van Dyer found some time to do so. With his
I'm sorry, just a flash of Doge every now and then, just like, brings me back, brings my attention back.
head lopped clean from his body, the brides of the Emperor were no more, and the ecclesiarchy signed a document to stop Van Dyer's reign from happening again. They would no longer be allowed to have men under arms. Men.
The Adeptus Sororitas.
The Adeptus Sororitas, or commonly known as the Sisters of Battle, the Nuns with Guns, the fighting force of the Church. Despite being the main militant faction, the Sisters of Battle, their organization actually is far more diverse than this and have many more nun-based roles for their members. They are organized by various orders with various specialties in mind, such as the non-militant orders like the Hospitaller, Dialogus, and Familius, including things like helping with surgical equipment and various other medical stuff, Duolingo, and a poli-sci degree. These orders are further separated into smaller orders in an almost Space Marine chapter sense, but tend to have more flexibility due to the nature of their work. And in addition to that, there is flexibility between the orders. It is not uncommon for a member of one of the more battle-hardened orders to switch to a more passive one once they sustain battlefield injuries or are a bit closer to retirement. As mentioned before, the Sisters of Battle are a part of their own separate organization, the Order's Militant, and feature the highest number.
Hey, if you're in a peaceful area, you're allowed to then say, well, I'm only 1 week from retirement. Nothing bad can possibly happen.
Of any given system. They are the official fighting force of the ecclesiarchy, and they specialize in wars of faith. Unlike the deployment of Astartes and Guardsmen, the Sisters of Battle are often deployed with members of the Inquisitorial Ordo Hereticus due to the holy war nature of their battles. The Sisters of Battle are suited up with their own form of specialized power armor that gives them almost like a Joan of Arc vibe to the battlefield. Right. Though lacking the more extreme modifications of a Space Marine's power armor, mainly to the fact that Sisters are, for the most part, regular humans, the power armor of a Sister of Battle almost matches the defensive power of an Astartes, but with added flexibility and versatility in exchange for strength.
Because it really doesn't look like it. Yeah, that's like a corset and some shoulder pads with a tank on her back. Like, whereas the Astartes were literally clad in full plate mechanical suit armor. I don't know if these would have the same defensive capabilities at all.
Some of the patterns of armor do allow for the enhancing of genetics, but this is far from the norm. This, combined with an arsenal of tanks and vehicles that have literal church organ rocket launchers on them, really brings across the holy war vibe in a gothic manner. Accompanying a Sister of Battle in the fields of war is the holy trinity of weaponry, the bolter, the flamer, and the melta. With such a simple loadout, the Sisters of Battle are able to bring down the glorious flames of the Emperor himself, and his holy light shines on them in other ways during a conflict. Hell, even their jump packs evoke angelic imagery as opposed to the more clunky jetpacks ones that Space Marines have. In times of great turmoil or impossibility, a living saint of the sororitas itself might appear on the battlefield surrounded by a litany of doves and cherubs, an almost comical scene of holy glory.
Those cherubs are undead babies and an AI. That's not AI. I'm scared of them.
Followed by literal hellfire. The Sisters are a fascinating organization because they take what is normally seen as a benevolent force and turn it on its head to be a horrifying method of war. Because
Such is the way of Warhammer 40k.
The sisters are so zealous, they are nigh impossible to persuade and almost never fall to chaos. In fact, any deviation from the Imperial faith may see you killed outright as you are deemed a heretic, and sometimes sisters have even less patience than the Inquisition does. To the Adeptus Sororitas, no punishment is too extreme for blasphemy and heretical behavior. Whether it's lobotomizing traitors to use as shock troops or attaching them physically to agonizing pain engines so they can die for the Emperor, anything goes. The most fascinating part of the sisters, however, is their faith. We discussed how orcs often make things happen through belief because of their sheer number of them. The sisters create miracles where they walk. They are not many psychers like orcs, but they are excessively devout and make up for that. Bullets barely miss targets they absolutely should hit. Guns jam, tanks malfunction, enemies slip and fall. The scene from Pulp Fiction is an accurate portrayal of what happens when the sisters fight.
Seems like Domino from X-Men. Their superpower is just lucky, but disguised as faith. Okay, is faith another power system in this universe as well? Because I understand like faith in in chaos, like the Princes of Chaos. The Four Gods of Chaos. I'm sorry, my brain was malfunctioning a little bit there. I understand that ends up translating into like superpower in its own right, but then again, you're being twisted by the warp, which is a form of psychic energy. Are these guys just psychers, but they're saying that their faith is the thing? Faith is a power system on its own. Oh. Why are we just learning about, like, why are they the only ones that seem to have this? Or is this faith also kind of extended to the orcs? Because that's kind of seems like the same thing as what the orcs would have, yeah? Like the orcs' power system is based off of faith, but it's being called Wa energy. My understanding of it is that the Emperor genuinely has insane power, and somehow humanity's faith in the Emperor channels the Emperor's power as well as the belief itself carrying power. Okay. Faith is like the orcs' Wa field, but biblically acceptable. Probably.
I'd knock that shit off if I was you.
Die, you motherfucker!
That didn't work.
One of the most prominent figures.
Fun fact: never saw Pulp Fiction. Never saw Pulp Fiction. Free human didn't have the elemental table. Humans didn't have the elemental table. We learned and scienced into something that universally makes sense. True. Pulp Fiction is a good movie. You should watch it. I might.
Is the Triumph of St. Catherine, a literal open casket with the saint of a sister's order held aloft by lobotomized servant cherubs and protected by bodyguards of the faithful. The devotion to the Emperor swells so strong that acts of faith are made manifest, and sometimes angels themselves. When the sisters go to war, they have thundering organs and litanies screeching out into the battlefield, hymns and songs. They rabble off prayers on their lips and burn holy fire across.
Every single faction is basically that one scene from Megamind. Do you know what the difference between being a bad guy and being a villain is? What? Presentation! They all have such crazy presentation, and they're all just aura farming as they rumble into battle in the most ridiculous of ways. Some of them drop freaking keeps from orbit onto a planet. Others will drop entire asteroids. Some will come in with the death march of freaking God Save the Queen. They're all ridiculous.
The area. They spray holy water down from horns atop their vehicles. It is a genuine holy war, a procession of death. Saint Celestine is an undying deity, arriving precisely where she is needed and returning to the fold after each death. When she dies, she sees a crying young girl atop a mountain of bones. Her bones, after every one of her deaths. She climbs this mountain every time to help comfort this crying child and is rebirthed upon the battlefield. And one day, her deaths will create a mountain so large that even she will not be able to traverse it. Is she a demon of the God Emperor? Perhaps, but she'll be shot for saying so. She is genuinely and literally faith made manifest.
Dang.
Some sisters may make a mistake, however, and find themselves questioning their faith, disobeying a command, and even leaving their order. These sisters are sent for reconditioning and are known as the Sisters Repentia. They generally face the front of the line head on and seek retribution and forgiveness from the Emperor himself.
I like her mask. I liked her mask. It's very ridiculous.
Though their actions were heretical, repentia on the fields of battle is an indication of an individual wanting to become forgiven. They run aloft with torture devices attached to their bodies and a chain sword the size of their body, completely armorless, to determine if this is how they die or if the Emperor will forgive them. Even the most famous champion of sisters, that Saint Celestine, was a repentia. Even she questioned her faith. And if she can do it, so can you. Just don't run away again. They don't really do third chances. The Sisters of Battle are...
I'm surprised they get second chances. No one else in the Imperium gets second chances except for... Actually, I don't even think Horus technically got a second chance. I'm surprised the sisters get second chances. Weird.
martyrdom-enthused zealots that create miracles in their tread. Their devotion is boundless and also a direct source of their power. A whole army of power-armored soldiers shooting, burning, and melting all in their path is bad enough, but it enters a whole different burning and melting all in their path is bad enough, but it enters a whole different level when God is on your side. By both,
I have the power of both God and anime on my side. The Emperor forgives the faithful type. I suppose so, but like, I don't know of behavior. Yeah, but like, once again, every other person like in this universe is like, yeah, no, you fucked up once. Guess what's happening to you? What? Well, let's see here. Your fuck up was, you did something with a kid? Public urinal control. What do you mean? Literally, bud, you are going to be the AI powering the urinal in a bar in the shittiest parts of the universe. Enjoy the next 1,000 years as you rot and have sentience for this. Like, or even the next person is like, oh, you stole a loaf of bread? Well, we can't be having that. We're going to put you into a crane. It's like Helldivers 2, face the wall. I suppose so.
Shell, Flamer Burst, and Melta Blast, the mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of their sin of existence. So has it been for 5 millennia, so shall it be until the end of time. The Imperium devolving into wars of faith is to push its agenda further. Where the xenophobic nature of humanity was once strong, it has now been magnified, and there are plenty of aliens in this galaxy. 6,000 years prior to the current events of 40K, a planet was found by an AdMech exploration vessel. The life forms on the planet were seen...
I think we're going into the next one, and I think I know who we're talking about.
Using tools, but they were still very primitive, so the planet was marked for destruction to pave the way for the Imperial war machine. However, this was thrown off because of an extreme warp storm and that whole Doge Van Dyer thing. Flash forward to modern day, and an unknown but highly advanced vessel was shot down near an Imperial mining world, and the bodies on this vessel matched those life forms found on that primitive world. The native creatures on that planet were able to evolve rapidly due to them being unobstructed, and their highly advanced gear posed a new threat to the Imperium. Advancing over these years with a remarkable speed, these are the new upstarts in the galaxy, looking to make a name for themselves, all in the name of the greater good. These are the
Tau.
The alien is not intrinsically
Yes, it is.
evil. Do not hate him. Pity him his ignorance. Seek to understand his differences and acquaint him with his inadequacies. Only then will he accept his place in the greater good.
For the greater good.
The early history of the Tau is chaotic at best. Due to their extreme speed run to space travel, their journey to the stars were overburdened with inner conflict. It wasn't until the appearance of the Ethereals that things began to settle. These Tau to the warring tribes marked their unification under one common belief.
By the way, the Tau are probably the race or the group in Warhammer that I know the least amount of. I already didn't know a whole lot about the entire thing, but the Tau, the real extent that I know is that they are basically the anime nerds of Warhammer, and nobody likes to play against them because they're all just a bunch of like super ranged snipers, and they're just not fun to fight. Sounds like Space Crusades? Maybe.
The greater good of the Tauva.
What about the greater good?
The greater good.
How can this be for the greater good?
The greater good.
This system is a caste-based system that seeks to unify and organize the Tau into an effective and successful society while working for their mutual benefit. These castes, in order from lowest to highest, are the Fire or Shas caste, which is soldiers, Earth/Theo, which is manufacturing.
Are they seriously based off the 4 elements? Or is it going to be the 5 elements?
And industrialists, the water or core being diplomats and traders, and the air/core
4 elements.
being navy officers. Also you have the ethereal/un, which is the lords and leaders of the Tau. Now, unlike the paths,
Their noses are silly. They got big slits in their foreheads for a nose.
of the Eldar, the Tau don't get any say into which caste they're in. It's determined upon birth due to inheritance from a parent. Trying to deviate from your caste or trying to do tasks or even use tools assigned to another caste is a grievous crime against the Ethereals, and those guilty of this crime tend to be sent to re-education camps, which sounds not so greater good, but a greater good than the good that the Imperium sees as greater.
To be fair, in the Imperium of Man, if you were to try and go against what you're being like put on for your life track and all that, you're probably just going to get shoved into a washing machine or something like that. Quite literally. At least with this one, you're sent somewhere to be like re-educated on your career path. Still not great, but once again, this is Warhammer 40k. No faction's good.
Guidance of the greater good also encourages the growth of the Empire through the absorption of other races and cultures. The expansion of the Tau Empire is split into spheres of time. So far, there have been 5 spheres of expansion, with a 6th one being planned in the current timeline. The first 2 spheres saw the Tau move beyond their homeworld and settle new planetary systems, known as seps, and absorb multiple races into their ranks. But the 3rd sphere is where we see the Tau interact with the Imperium for the first time, which went about as well as you think it did. The Tau, as mentioned before, are highly advanced compared to some of the other species in the galaxy, and their military...
Yeah, their mechs definitely look a lot more like anime inspired, whereas the mechs in like the Imperium of Man, the orcs and all them, they look a lot more like disheveled, ramshackle, or like more in line with the grimdark atmosphere that you would expect. Whereas the Tau one, they're very like angular, boxy, clean, more anime designed, I guess.
tactics are highly precise. Instead of the Imperial methodology of throwing everything at a problem, the Tau carefully assess any battle and take as many precautions as possible. Commonly, you will see a Tau warrior in a heavily modified battle suit with advanced targeting systems. The Tau do not often consider close combat to be something very effective, so they don't really put much stock into it.
I mean, if you're getting into a close quarters combat, it's at that point your skill versus theirs. What if their skill is greater than yours? That's not very effective, so, you know, stay back and shoot them when they're rushing at you, right? The Tau managed to capture a dreadnought and learned that it wasn't just a machine, but actually a space marine that was older than any life on the entire planet. That's amazing.
Gundam-like battlesuits have a multitude of functionality, ranging from overwhelming firepower to stealth-based combat, and since they're an upstart species with a bit of technical flair, they have plenty of AI drones that help them on the field of battle. In addition to this, the Tau are also joined on the field of battle by some of the species that have been absorbed into the fold of the greater good. These auxiliaries often employ tactics that the Tau are unable to do on their end, such as the brute force and almost primitive nature of the Kroot, combined with the Geonosian aerial shock attack style of the Vespens. But the Tau assimilate more and more species with time, including even some humans who wish to break off from the Imperium for pick a reason.
Pick a reason. I don't want to be part of the Imperium anymore. Why not? They're going to put me into a shower. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. As the shower head. Oh, in an old folks' home. Oh, you want to come hang out with us? We'll put you in a Gundam. Yes, please.
Aesthetic of the Tau also leans a bit more into the East Asian sci-fi aesthetics. The large mech suits definitely evoke that Gundam look, but the general garb of their higher-ups kind of create that motif, and they often have accents in the games that they are in. But while Tau are looked at as Gundam mech faction by some, others enjoy them for the full coalition of aliens. One of my favorite images in Warhammer is this official artwork by Games Workshop. Now, not a single one of these aliens are a faction in Warhammer, and yet they all are different species that do exist in this universe. The Milky Way galaxy is vast, and while the Imperium and many others exterminate what they can find, the Tau will assimilate those that can be assimilated. The Kroot and Vespens we already discussed, and the humans and also Voton will join them at times, but you also have the Galg, the Nikasar, the Vorg, the Thraxian, the Terrellian, Greet, Domati, and many others.
It gave them literal existential dread and made them horrified at the scale of the other factions of the universe. Understandable. They're going against some pretty powerful beings if they're trying to do this shit for the greater good.
Some of these are just one-off lines, and some are major players in the civilization. The Nikasar are, for lack of a better word, gigantic psychic polar bears with bird-like faces. The Tau have...
They're psychic owlbears? They're owlbears with wizard levels?
Have psychic bears. And the fact I haven't seen this is a crime. The Tau as a culture are generally marred by the various issues that an advanced civilization would have in an unadvanced galaxy. They do not travel through the warp because of the insane dangers, but instead use a more classic FTL jump. However, because they aren't going through hell, it makes them a lot slower than many other races. The Imperium might surf through hell and lose a few ships, but they will get there first. Often they will take enormous cannons and weaponry and defeat their foes before they can even close the gap. One of their light walkers carried a weapon of lethal effect. It fired a form of ultra-high velocity projectile. I saw one of our tanks after being hit by it. There was a small hole punched in either flank. One, the projectile's entry point, the other its exit. The tiny munition had passed through the vehicle with such speed that everything within the hole not welded down had been sucked out through the exit hole, including the crew.
Holy shit! Oh my god, that is horrifying!
We never identified their bodies, for all that remained of them was a red stain upon the ground, extending some 20 meters from the wreck. The fact...
Holy shit! Like, do you understand how fast that bullet need to have traveled to create that kind of a vacuum? Holy crap! You shoot a mech and then out comes an entire spaghetti strand of everything that was right in there. Woo, mankind and ballistics. Sometimes think about that, right?
The fascination of the Tau is that in any other modern day world, their society would be horrid. Rigid caste systems, corruption, and politicking ethereals, and basically it's the greater good or nothing at all.
The greater good.
But in the world of Warhammer, the simple fact that humans are accepted into their sphere should they please already puts them far and above the other races that would murder or eat them. But despite this, the existential dread that is the Tau Empire is ever so apparent. Despite being hyper-advanced and welcoming a coalition of aliens, they are the upstarts and they are painfully outnumbered on all sides. Almost any other faction in the universe, given the right amount.
Like they're what? Only a single planet strong? Whereas all the other factions are multi-planets, some thousands of or even hundreds of thousands of planets strong, millions. Whereas the Tau is like one?
Amount of force can wipe out the Tau Empire from existence. They themselves might not be perfect, but their slight glimmer of hope is exactly that, a glimmer in a dark and crushing galaxy. Of course, nobody dares take the attempt to destroy the Tau Empire because doing so is an enormous amount of resources, and for the same reason why you don't full send your whole army to one person in a commander game of Magic. You open.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If you're playing Magic the Gathering Commander and you see one of the enemies is like, okay, I could nuke you off the face of the planet right friggin' now. However, if I do that, Jim over there is going to do the same to me. So it's kind of like we're in a stalemate situation. You're surviving primarily because Jim will kill me, or I will then kill Jim if he goes after you. So it's like the Argonians and the Black Marsh? I'm not sure. I never really looked into the Argonians and the Black Marsh. I know a little bit of Oblivion lore, but I don't know a lot.
Yourself up to player 2 and 3. But not to say it won't be a struggle. The Tau Empire, when prepared, are a vicious fighting force who might delete your formation before you
They're Batman.
even see them. But they lack numbers. And in the dark corners of the galaxy, something is coming that is entirely numbers.
Oh, the Tyranids! The bugs. Alien.
There is a cancer eating at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper, leaving drained, dead worlds in its wake. This horror, this abomination, has thought and purpose that functions on an unimaginable galactic scale, and
That man just blew up.
all we can try to do is stop the swarms of bioengineer monsters it unleashes upon us by instinct. We have given the horror a name to salve our fears. We call it the Tyranid race. But if it is aware of us at all, it must only know us as prey.
Oh, so the Tyranid aren't their official name. This is just what the Imperium are calling them. Because they're literally just, like, a mindless hive mind swarm of unspeaking, unfeeling monsters. Oh, I thought that this was like a full-on official name that the Tyranids came and like maybe they have like some almost announcing presence or something like that, or like a psychic presence that etched the word Tyranid into the minds of those that they came across. No, this is just a name they just gave these things in order to, you know, have something to call them. We're under attack by what? Bug things. I don't know. Oh, the Tyranids. We named them a little while ago. Well, they're at the front door. Kill and reproduce. That's all the Tyranids know. Jesus.
The conflicts of Warhammer 40k are chaotic enough with the sheer volume of violence that exists in the confines of the Milky Way. However, there is a threat to the galaxy that extends beyond our known galaxy that is creeping ever closer and cannot be negotiated with. What drew them to the galaxy is unclear. It may have been the light of the Astronomicon itself, like a moth to a flame. It could have been a Xenos device detonated in the Horus Heresy. It could have been that they were done eating the Andromeda Galaxy and they have come to take ours. Or they might be running from something far, far worse. Regardless of
or all of the above. It could be all of it.
the why, The where, when it came to the first official contact with these creatures, was the planet of Tyran. This is the site where the Imperium encountered a fleet of these creatures before being utterly torn to shreds. Thus, these creatures became known as the Tyranids. There is plenty of evidence that the Tyranids have been lurking in our galaxy for years beforehand, but this was the first true instance of their presence being fully known. Unlike other creatures in the realm of 40k that can be talked to, captured, or negotiated with, the Tyranids are unable to be reasoned with. They are, at their core, animals, but not the fun kind of animals. They are the xenomorphs of 40k, and boy are they hungry. They are instinctively hardwired to either kill or be killed, and they are an unrelenting force due to this. However, just because they don't talk outwardly doesn't mean they don't communicate with one another. The true horror of the Tyranids is found in their driving force, the hive mind.
3, 2, 1.
Hot in here, my Nelly.
That's what I.
Graydon's guess, hot in here, Nelly. Riley's guess, Nelly, hot in here. Imagine encountering the creature that the Tyranids are afraid of. Yeah, it'd be like trying to encounter the creature that the Tarrasque from D&D is afraid of. Remember, if it grew spikes on its back, it's in order to protect itself from predators attacking it from above. And the Tarrasque has a lot of spikes on its back.
I guess. What?
You see, the Tyranids are a collective consciousness that are all connected to a singular embodiment of psychic power that is utterly incomprehensible to the human mind. To keep this connection there, the Tyranids on the field of battle are followed around by synapse creatures, essentially serving as their Bluetooth connection to the greater hive mind. This allows them to send and receive information about the battle they're in, and it also allows them...
Hey, anyone get any word from the bug leader? No, my bug tooth device is on the fritz. Just this little cockroach on the ground. Just well, stomp it out and make a new one. Okay. Okay, we got Bluetooth again. Okay.
to adapt to certain situations based off of the information gained. Depending on the enemy, the swarm might be able to develop a new weapon or new tactics so they can get the upper hand. When the synapse connection is cut, they are unable to essentially form a save state and are stranded. The sheer power of the hive mind presence pours from each Tyranid in such a manner that it causes a distortion in the warp itself. A hive fleet's arrival can cause a dark shadow the size of several light years, coined the shadow in the warp. This shadow prevents any usage of the warp, or at least makes it exceptionally difficult. Communications shut down.
Oh, that's dangerous. That's fucked up.
Due to astropaths being unable to talk. Ships cannot freely enter the warp, and even creatures with a warp sensitivity feel an immense dread due to it. It causes everything to just kind of sit dead, like at a buffet counter waiting for the afternoon meal rush. The Tyranids meander through the galaxy in these gigantic hive fleets that are fueled by bioships, and these ships contain birthing pools for Tyranid armies and more ships. Everything about the Tyranids is organic, and to fuel this war machine, the Tyranids consume any and all biomass they come across and absorb it into their respective hive. From the ground to literally the air, the Tyranids strip a planet to a lifeless and uninhabitable hulk. As a means to curb the advancement of the Tyranids, the Imperium has been known to preemptively exterminatus worlds in the path of a hive fleet so that they have less biomass to consume in an attempt to starve them.
Holy crap, it's literally fight fire with fire. Oh, the Tyranids are getting a little close to that planet. Remove it. But we have an entire thing there. How long will it take to evacuate them? 3 days. How long until the Tyranids are there? Today. Exterminatus. Just okay.
The Halo method, literally scorched earth tactics by taking everything out of the freezer and lighting it on fire. Outside of the obvious threat and adaptive and unreasonable enemy posed on the field of battle, the most dangerous aspect of the Tyranids comes in the form of their general unpredictability. The Tyranids are external to the Milky Way galaxy itself, and it's unknown where they truly hail from. However, their arrival in the Milky Way is seemingly random, and in 3D space, implying quite heavily that Tyranids have the galaxy surrounded in some kind of way. Due to this, you will sometimes see instances of species engaged in a separate conflict, both agree to a temporary truce in order to take out a Tyranid threat. Because regardless of the stakes at hand, the existence of the Tyranids marks the heat death of the galaxy itself, and all the factions can ultimately agree that the Tyranids themselves act as the biggest threat to all of them. The Tyranid race is truly
The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and at the moment, man, that guy is a real big enemy. Agreed, brother. Let's take care of this. Orcs and humans, let's fight them.
an unknowable horde, and pulls from that horror of the unknown. They, as a faction, are not ones with a large amount of general lore because their entire race is told from the point of view of those being eaten by them. Tyranids are called that due to the planet Tyran they destroyed, as we mentioned earlier, and their names are often phrases given to them by their victims. The Swarm Lord, Old One-Eye, the Death Leaper, Von Ryan's Leapers, and so on. Despite
Von Ryan's Leapers, oh my.
The inability to even perceive the vast psychic hive mind of the Tyranids, they are fiercely intelligent. Special poisons and items designed to counter them are adapted in a matter of hours. If you bring light infantry, they create heavy monsters. If you brought weapon emplacements, they spawn little creatures to scour your vents and sewers. Many of you enjoyed the Servitor excerpt from part 1, and so
yeah, it's awful.
Bear with me as I provide you another very long account of a planetary governor whose planet is in the final death throes of the Tyranid menace. This starts about halfway through. It has been many weeks since a handful of us escaped the sinking of the Sea Fort Divine Anchor via airlift. We have escaped in this manner because the Tyranids had overwhelmed so much of our world, they no longer appeared to need to continue spawning beasts for aerial supremacy. I shall never forget what I saw from my craft's portholes. Alien biostructures dominated Huto's surface. Gigantic, lumpen barnacles pumped out clouds of matter to further poison the planet alongside pulsating, brain-like nodes that resembled lethal fungi.
Gross.
Immense capillary towers stretched high into the poisoned sky. The glistening chitin coating their flanks crawled over by chains of lesser beasts fulfilling some sick alien purpose I cannot know. Digestion pools spread for miles, replacing our once great lakes with reservoirs of bubbling biomatter. Tides of creatures bloated with consumed flesh vomited their guts into the pools or threw themselves entirely into the billowous liquid. Amidst the seas of feeder beasts consuming all in their path, we would every so often see an explosion or a burst of fire. Were these heroic final stands by other survivors, or merely abandoned ordnance detonating at random? I will never know. I cannot rejoice in the deaths they inflicted. The biomatter of the dead Xenos was surely recycled by the Xenos regardless in no time at all.
Yep.
Our aircraft ran out of fuel a week ago. Now I stand in the snow, not far from the peak of Mont Saint Hilaire. I am the only one left that I know. One by one, those with me perished. The slightest cut on a mountain rock resulted in an immediate infection that left the pilot screaming in agony.
Isn't that great?
Her co-pilot fired the shot that ended her torture, and my senior aide threw himself from a ledge. The reality that there was no escape hitting him. I have no idea what happened to my chief medicae. Others were slain by lone beasts the rest of us were unable to kill or drive away. A justly deserved end will soon be mine. I have failed on every possible level. We were not even able to send word. An alien disease has me within its grasp. My limbs are numb, my tongue is dry as sand, my head throbs. Even at these chilled heights, I sweat profusely. From here where I sit, I can see the final death unfold on the planet entrusted to me. Before me is the Radarin Ocean. The water level is visibly dropping, hour by hour. They are even taking our seas. There are enormous beasts with great, slowly flapping wings and immense open maws moving through the sky. I may be at high altitude, but the air is thinner here than it should be. I know enough of mountaineering to know that. They will not even leave our air.
Oh my God.
There is an isthmus I can see, upon which is sat one of the Xenos capillary towers. Now I believe I can tell what they are truly for. High up, foul Xenos bioships cling to their flanks like twisted calves at their mother's udders. They are feasting, I am sure, hungrily filling themselves to burst on the hideous gruels that are what remains of my people. I have
Your people and your planet.
witnessed the planet's death from sinister start to hideous conclusion. I see the power of our foe, and though I have shown boundless weakness these past months, I do not see how we could ever have won.
Oh my god. So they just came down, terraformed the land almost instantly with, biomatter, converted the current biomatter that was already on the planet, the fauna, the fauna, the flora, the people, everything, into more biomatter so that they can make more bio creatures in order to take more stuff and eventually just take all the oxygen, all the water, all the earth, all the dirt, everything, convert into more biomatter. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually convert planets into a Tyranid creature itself. Oh my goodness.
If this is any sort of good news, it seems that one thing that might be an inadvertent repellent effect on the Tyranids is chaos. Chaos and chaotic energies offer no nourishment to the Tyranids, they cannot eat that. And the presence of rifts and warp storms work as a means to starve out the Tyranid fleet. The Tyranids, of course, are attempting to adapt to this, but it seems that even at the most primal core of the galaxy itself, Chaos agrees that these dinner guests are not welcome in any way, shape, or bioform. In the end, though, the Tyranids represent the final fears of the galaxy.
Korn's probably like, look, I like a good violence, but these guys aren't doing this for violence, they're just doing this for hunger. Nurgle's like, I like the end, but also they're just making way too much beginning. Not a big fan. Sinch is just like, yeah, I can't talk to these guys. These guys suck. And Slaanesh is probably just being like, they ain't fucking.
Galaxy itself. Despite the goals to conquer the galaxy as a whole, the remainder of the universe may very well be dead and derelict space. Instead of endless worlds and solar systems, it may just be bones and ash. The tendrils of the hive mind have wrapped themselves around the galaxy, and the only thing that's guaranteed is that dinner is served. However, the Tyranids are not simply the unending hordes of bugs. Beyond the more general buffet tactics of the Force of the...
Yeah, okay, these guys, yeah, these must be the Gene Stealers that he's talking about, because, okay, before we get into the Gene Stealers, I know nothing, but, when you say that these are bugs and just monsters, just creatures, they have no mind, no feeling, no thought, no nothing, but then you show me pictures of these guys who have working hands and actual swords built into their anatomy and Gatling guns built into their anatomy, I have to wonder what the fuck is going on here. So let's learn about
Tyranids. The hive mind has a more secretive and dangerous means of planetary conquest in the form of something a bit more terrestrial. General upheaval and revolution. However, though the idea of a societal revolt for the good of the populace is an admirable thing, these leaders have the nefarious intent of the hive mind itself. These are the downtrodden and the oppressed, the revolutionaries to a better cause, the heralds of the Star Children. These are the
Gene Stealer cults.
In the sunless body of our hive, the
Wait, are the Gene Stealer cults actually part of the Tyranids?
flock of the faithful grows. We are guided by our great Father's sacred vision, protected by his loving hands. Within these holy shadows we dwell, while the impure bathe in spire-topped starlight. And what lies between those stars? What sails beyond those distant suns? Shrouded in night, born within that eternal black, our redeemers, our gods, truer than the silent, long-dead emperor, the children of the void. We hear them in our dreams, we feel them in our blood. They call and we will answer. We will rise and claim the engines of labor that have bound us in servitude. This world will burn. It will be cleansed, purified, made ready, and the heavens will deliver our reward. The ground
So they're essentially like the worshippers of Cthulhu, but to the Tyranid, right?
hero of a gene stealer cult comes in the form of the gene stealer itself. Deep in the depths of a planet, a gene stealer acts as almost an advanced recon unit for the Tyranids, and were the first Tyranid units encountered by the Imperium itself long before the first Hive fleet made its presence known. Unlike the Tyranids that
So once again, the gene stealer cults worship the Tyranids and offer themselves to the Hive as a rebellion against the Imperium. The Imperium is really just making problems for themselves half the time. My goodness.
can only reproduce through the birthing pools in the fleet, a gene stealer reproduces via the big smooch. The gene stealer kiss is essentially what the facehugger alien does. It attaches to a victim and releases an embryo. However, instead of a chest burster, the embryo alters the genetic makeup of the host itself, turning it into the primary conductor of a localized version of the hive mind known as the brood mind. Any offspring that this host produces is known as a gene stealer hybrid, and the host assures their survival to continue to reproduce. The first few generations of a gene stealer hybrid look more like the gene stealer itself, which in our current reality would be terrifying. But considering how the vast majority of humanity is a little mutated in 40K, it doesn't stand out as much as it should. As the generations continue, the mutations and the general alien look is almost entirely phased out, and the resulting hybrids look almost identical to the species that they once were. Due to the size of most worlds, the makings of a gene stealer cult can exist almost entirely in secret, generation after generation. After a certain period of time, those hybrids will make their way into generalized society. Still connected to the mind of the gene stealer itself, the hybrids operate with the express goal of gaining power within society itself in a political and religious sense. Most of the time, they will present themselves as revolutionaries, looking for the betterment of the population. And honestly, it sounds great for a lot of the folks on the planet. By the people, for the people.
That's where that's the sales pitch. Of course it's going to sound great for the people in order to get them into the fold. Unfortunately, pucker up, Buttercup.
They expand more openly, the crossbreeding continues until all aspects of the planet's society is infiltrated. However, all bets are off when a hive fleet comes close enough. When a Tyranid hive fleet gets close enough to a planet, the brood mind activates essentially an endgame scenario. The once political and religious leaders become bloodthirsty fanatics that work to finalize the collapse of society and the death of those who oppose them. But to those in the brood mind, the god they believe in is coming, and this is holy justice and vindication for their religious and political beliefs. As the hive arrives, the planet is essentially ripe for the taking. The original gene stealer pieces out to the next world or is reabsorbed for deployment.
All right, you guys got this over here. I'm going to the next world so we can start this all over again. Yay!
And elsewhere, and the Tyranids begin to take the planet for themselves. The cultists sing praises and holy songs as the Tyranids begin to eat everything up in kind of a meet the pyro sense of religious delusion. But as they are harvested, some of them are snapped back to reality, oops, there goes gravity, before they are thrown into the biomass soup. For a fleeting second, they see that this was all a ruse to consume the world and that their false gods were a bunch of hungry bugs. The cultists essentially put the checkerboard dining cloth on the table for them and invited them for a feast. Due to the constant redeployment of gene stealers, there are known cults that pop up across the Imperium itself. Some of the more well-known ones are the cult of the Bladed Cog or the Rusted Claw, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different cults that keep popping up all over the galaxy as the gene stealers spread. And due to their covert means taking over the planet, they are not generally viewed to be a threat until it is far too late. And due to the know-how of gene stealers, they tend to be predatory to those in the lower classes of a given planet. The gene stealer cults overall have really come into their own, commercially and artistically. They have very much embraced the revolutionaries aesthetic and crafted a fascinating method in doing so. It's this great combination of this pseudo-Marxist Bolshevik uprising mixed with the hills have eyes in the populace. What's particularly enjoyable about their uprising is that often from their point of view, the reasons they have are extremely justified. Most of the members of the GSC are the extremely impoverished and menial laborers of the Imperium, who honestly wouldn't need an alien presence.
Bugs keep telling me to short the Bible, but I don't fucking know what either of those things mean.
to provide a manifesto on reasons to revolt. Their weapons are all makeshift and often involve things like mining lasers, drilling saws, demolition charges, giant stop signs. Their political machinations work quite well, as the cult ends up being really good at assassination, especially when you have a third arm holding a pistol beneath all those robes.
True.
They're a faction rife with fascination and culture, and their plans are generations in the making, to the end goal of being thrown right back into the soup by the star children they prepared the world for. And those are the threats to the galaxy now.
Yep.
The degradation of almost every
Holy
species
crap.
is now behest by the Tyranid menace, and all of the infighting between each and every single one of them will be their undoing. The world of Warhammer is a bleak and horrendous one, and that is in its own right the charm. It is so large, so vast, so absolutely horrendous and insane, and yet is treated with 100% severity and seriousness. In the beginning of part 1, I gave you an abridged and different opening to the Warhammer world, the grim darkness of the far future, and I leave you with this part 2 with the full quote itself. It is the 41st millennia. For more than 100 centuries, the Emperor has
I will let him do this, and then I'll give you guys my full thoughts at the end of this.
sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of a million worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die. Yet even in his deathless state, the Emperor continues his eternal vigilance. Mighty battle fleets across the demon-infested miasma of the warp, the only route between distant stars, their way lit by the Astronomicon, the psychic manifestation of the Emperor's will. Vast armies give battle in his name on uncounted worlds. Greatest amongst his soldiers are the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines, bioengineered super warriors. Their comrades in arms are Legion, the Imperial Guard, and countless planetary defense forces, the ever-vigilant Inquisition, and the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus, to name only a few. But for all their multitudes, they are barely enough to hold off the ever-present threat from aliens, heretics, mutants, and worse. To be a man in such times is to be one amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter and the laughter of thirsting gods. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
And that were all the factions of Warhammer 40k. There is so much. There is so many factions. There are so many things that to like keep track of and dive into. Where do I go next? Should I look into the Primarchs? Should I do like a Primarch and then another little deep dive into a faction? Should I just focus fire on the Orcs since I love those little bastards so friggin' much? Where should I go next? Please let me know in the description. Warhammer is so fascinating, and it's such an interesting way to look at like humanity and progress just in general, and the way they actually like went about crafting the lore and being so meticulous about how like, okay, this happened, which caused this to happen, which caused this to happen, which caused this to happen, which is why this is happening and this type of thing is happening, which is why this faction is doing this and why that faction is doing that. And it's just, there's so many little interconnecting things. It's incredible how much is going on, how many moving cogs there are going at any given time. It is I can't stress how fascinating, I know I've said that a lot, how fascinating this universe is. I can fully understand why people are addicted to this game, even if they're not into the game, they just want to know the lore. I can fully understand it. Because I'm the same way. Like, I wouldn't mind playing the game. I will be playing at least a couple of the games in the future here. But, like, there's just so much. Anyway, like I said, tell me in the description, in the comments, where you want me to go after this. Whether it's Primarchs or diving deeper into one of the other factions or something like that. I'm all for it. Give me some sources, whether it's through Bricky or somebody else. I don't really mind. It'll be great. Anyway, thanks guys for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Hey, did you enjoy that? Was it funny? Well, come and check it out live over on twitch.tv/freeform_art. Make sure you put the _art. We have lots of fun there. We enjoy ourselves, and we want to see you over there. So come on and hang out. See you in a bit.